Okay, so let's get started. Welcome, Ashkat. Pleasure to meet you finally. I saw your before and after. Amazing before and after, by the way. So I just wanted to call you and dialogue and see how you did it. And I guess you were mentioning you were trying to do with exercise at first, right?
Yep, yep. So I always had this weight problem because being a millennial, I fed a lot on the fast food and all the processed food. So and all the sodas, the Coke and Pepsi. So I always had this tendency to gain weight. And since sugar is no evil, when you're growing up, it's actually a treat. So you don't know why you're gaining the weight.
Where did you grow up?
Where?
Where?
I grew up in India. So I'm presently in New Delhi. I spent some time in Mumbai. So it was mainly India, but the junk food is everywhere.
So,
And I
so,
think
so I guess I
with the
haven't.
car.
I've never been too far out of the country, but I guess in my mind, I'm thinking if you go to India, it's all clean food, all healthy food. Is that a falsehood?
Uh, no, that's a falsehood. At least for the people who know that ketosis life now.
Yeah.
No, it's a falsehood, and it's for centuries it's a falsehood because no matter what, carbohydrates and sugar they are part of everyone's life. And if sometime we think about it, I think we all when I read one of the book, and most of our ketosis stuff is quite closely related to evolution. So I think we all survived because of carbohydrates. Because if we are all meat eaters, it'll be a little tough. So we all survived, but I think it has really spoiled our genes, and the tendency to gain weight. It's quite fast. So of course, carbohydrates are very important part of our diet in India. We have a lot of different kind of breads, rice, lentils. So it's all carbs, and we have like amazing desserts. And it's a treat, right? It's a treat when you do something good. You have some dessert. So that's. You eventually gain weight, and I think I had a pretty average genes that I had to work really hard on my workouts, specifically running, in order to just maintain my weight. Um, so I hanged around a scale of weight which I thought is perfect, but I was kind of overweight even in that range. But then, of course, I changed my diet, and I finally was able to get into a weight which was good for my height and age.
So, how long ago did you kind of start this process of going, oh wow, ketosis, I'm going to try this?
Yeah. So I try to control my weight. I think ever since, let me just give you some background how I try to control it before getting into a keto diet. So ever since my late teenage and during my mid 20s, I'm right now exactly 30. So till my mid 20s, I was able to control my weight with running. I bought a treadmill, but of course my diet was just the regular diet with carbs and sugar, and having tea and coffee with a lot of sugar. I liked it, but I used to run a lot. But however, for almost 12 to 13 years. I stopped having fat because that's the most logical thing. Like I'm gaining fat, so I should stop eating fat. So I had no butter, no ghee, no cheese, very little meat. In meat, mainly chicken, not mutton or any other kind of meat because of cholesterol and all those things which are associated with red meat and eggs. And I try to work out with running in order to control my weight. And even after controlling it, I was always in the range between 72 to 75. So if I am 72.5, I used to think I'm healthy, I am fit. And I would reach 75 very quickly. Then again, I'll start running. I would spend like considerable amount of my day in running. But then 2 years back, one of my another colleague, Shadab Ahmed, he was also struggling with weight. And he came across this book called Why We Get Fat, What to Do About It. Have you heard about it? Uh, Okay, that is a book he came across, and he shared it with me. He gave a long lecture about it, and I went through it. And I was totally, I read three over a weekend. I read that book, and I was totally, by the science in it, I was totally amazed. Followed up, I watched some lectures on YouTube. I started following your channel with your daily videos, and as they have I think your videos are now, I think we get 2 videos a day. So I regularly watch your videos. And, I started getting the whole doctrine of ketosis, started getting into me. And I started following ketosis around 2 years back, 1.5, 2 years back. And for 3 months, I followed it very, very religiously. I didn't even do exercise because I read somewhere that exercise is not that important. I think even in your lectures, you say that running in a marathon is not a good thing, right? Jogging and
Right, because I think it's like the exercise is about 15. If we look at 15%, 85% is diet. Exercise is 15%. Yeah.
right. And I remember one of your videos, you actually described that it won't help you in your old age because if we run in marathons and it will impact our knees, and we might suffer a lot during in our old age. We can do it right now, we are young, but later on we'll have bad impact of it. So it will backfire. So I religiously followed it, and within 3 months, I lost significant weight from 75. My top was 75. And at that time, even with running, it was not getting controlled. So with the diet, within 3.5 months, I lost from 75 to 63. That was 12 kgs in 3 months. I think it would be around 25 pounds. So that was significant. But of course, in the last 1 year, I would say that I have even this diet. I have evolved this diet. Like when I started, I misinterpreted it as zero carbs and high fat and high protein. But then, of course, it impacts your liver, right? I think in one of your, I think today's video, I remember you had talked about the fatty liver part, right? So it impacts your liver. So I continue to tweak the diet and evolve it by increasing vegetables and then lowering down the meat to one meal. And of course, eggs. I really like eggs, so I have. So this was the whole diet part. Of course, the benefits were not just limited to my weight loss. When I added butter and ghee and cheese to my diet, so I had a very dry skin. Imagine somebody not having fat for 12, 13 years. I had a very terrible dry skin. No matter how much awesome creams I use, it's not going to help. But suddenly, you see this brightness? It's all natural. So there's no cream, no additional stuff. And all my friends tell me that I look significantly younger than what I was just a year and a half back. So they were not just. It's not just limited to weight loss. And and beside that, I have a very kind of a stressful job, long hours and all. But my productivity has increased. It's like 12 o'clock at night, but my energy is really not down. I can still work a couple of hours more. So I think it has also helped me professionally.
Wow.
And
I just want to make one point.
yeah, go ahead.
For those people that are watching that don't know what we're talking about, he started something called the ketogenic diet, but he's been watching my videos, and basically I tweak the ketogenic diet. I add a lot of vegetables to it. We like to graduate into it and not jump into so many fats, and we want a moderate amount of protein. But as far as what it could do for your skin and for your energy, ketones basically are the byproduct of fat, and ketones are more efficient, they're less stressful, they produce less waste, they help with your cognitive function. So those of you that are watching, you may want to try this eating plan, but go ahead.
When we started this whole thing, it's a very radically different diet, which a lot of people have. They had their whole childhood and they're grown on the standard pyramid, which we see, which has carbohydrate as very integral part and sugar as a legal drug, which we all love, which I don't love now, but a lot of people do. So it was very tough, but I think even my colleagues and a lot of my close friends, I was able to influence them. Like I was influenced by one of my colleagues. We influenced them, and cumulatively, a lot of people in our group, because it was more like a social experiment. We were able to police each other, and cumulatively we lost, I think, a lot of kgs, a lot of kgs, and of course, watching the same reading the same literature, watching the same videos, and we all have our own small group, and slowly it's getting popular. So it is becoming more easier. Like you get options to eat even outside. Like just a year and a half or 2 years back, I could never see things which were like low carbs or zero carbs, but now you can find things which are like that. You can find salad dressings which have either no sugar, which are not soy based, and a much healthier option.
Wow. I know that in India they use GMO just like in America, right?
Yep, yep.
And do you do also intermittent fasting?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So earlier I didn't know what was the term for this, but I was when I got into my ketosis, I think I got it pretty fast, like in a week or two when I initially started. But I didn't feel that hungry, so I would have my meal like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and my next meal was in at noon or around 1 p.m. next day. However, later on, so it was not like exact intermittent fasting, like 16 hours, no food, only liquids like coffee or tea, black tea. But I was doing for quite some time, like a 14-hour no food, and then having a kind of a 7 to 8 for my two meals of the day. But later on, I was able to stretch it to 16 hours. And actually, intermittent fasting is totally. I started when I saw your videos purely. There was no other literature in which I knew about intermittent fasting, but I always thought it's kind of too pushing myself. But then I saw actually I went through a lot of your videos back to back like a marathon in order to study cortisol. And in order I don't know if I had some stress issues or cortisol issue, but I don't know. I really like that topic, the whole growth hormone and how cortisol secretes in every now and then. And I think in high pressure jobs, it sometimes happens. And then I started practicing intermittent fasting in the more of 16 hours and then an 8-hour window thing. So yes, that was really helpful. I believe it. I don't know what are the more results. I think I'll see it as I practice it over years.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, your first meal. Give me an example of what you would eat in your first meal.
So my first meal of the day is usually my first meal is around 1 p.m. That is more like a lunch plus my breakfast. So I have eggs in it. I have salad, which is primarily cucumber and tomatoes. I know tomatoes are not that keto friendly, but that's the option I have. Sometimes I have celery, like a small salad. I have a bowl of curd because that keeps my gut really healthy. Um,
What's in the curd?
there's nothing in the curd, so it's blank. Sometimes I add a little bit of salt.
No, like curd. Is that like a probiotic or what? What is curd?
So curd, it's not. So it's a way. It's like yogurt,
Okay.
but yeah. So it's mostly plain, which I have, and beside that, what else? I usually have like a piece of chicken or mutton, whatever is available. So this is usually my meal, the first meal, and that's it. So of course I have my black coffee in morning with some coconut oil.
Wow, that's amazing. So let's say that I was going to ask you, and then for dinner, is it a similar meal or is it different?
Except the eggs, it's mostly similar.
Okay.
The only difference is that I add vegetables instead of eggs. So these are either sautéed vegetables or some traditional Indian vegetables, which are very spicy and pretty delicious. So you can easily have it. And sometimes my wife has experimented so many dishes because of because of my diet. So she keeps reinventing. Like I recently saw zucchini noodles, and I was just showing her. We used to make zucchini noodles like a year and a half back, and I really love it because it's like a spaghetti, but a much healthy spaghetti. So,
I love it too. Have you ever been to the U.S.?
oh no, I haven't been to US.
So they have Indian restaurants, and I would imagine it's probably not the same as eating food in India, but it could be. And the reason why I don't go to Indian restaurants anymore is simply because every single sauce loaded with sugar. So you got the meat and the sugar, and then they have the naan, whatever, and you have all this great spicy food. It's incredible, but oh my gosh, if they just didn't have the sugar, it'd be so much better. And of course, they bring the rice, right? The rice is always part of it.
Rice, yes, rice and the breads.
And, and I would leave that restaurant feeling completely and utterly stuffed and bloated for the next day, and just like, what was it worth it? So you would think that I would just like know for a fact, but that was I used to frequently go to those restaurants and also all-you-can-eat buffets. And this was very bad in the U.S. because they have all-you-can-eat.
That's the thing. So even salads, if you go to salad bar, so they have these delicious salads. So I later came to know that even top brands, won't name them, but even they have their celery, their capsicum, their peppers are not that spicy to your tongue. But why are they so spicy when you eat it at home? The reason is that they just run it through sugar water, and that's why they are so delicious. So it's a big no-no to have salad outside. So.
And that's interesting. And then also, in my area, like in Virginia and Washington D.C., they have a lot of Peruvian places where they have chicken places, and they basically put the reason why it's so delicious, and they have a line outside. It's because they load it with like a tremendous amount of monosodium glutamate. They put that in the meat, and they make it taste really good, but you're going to get so fat because you're going to spike insulin. So, yeah. It's amazing, eh?
Yeah.
But your before and after is just incredible. So you did really well, and I'm just amazed at the transformation. Incredible.
Yep. And it was purely with diet. So I think that's the piece which everyone misses, right? The diet part. Yeah.
Yeah, they say, well, I'm just going to eat what I want and exercise more. Well, good luck on that one, right? So.
Absolutely.
But anyway, I wanted to just thank you for taking this interview, and I think we have a great story. I think it's going to motivate other people just because you don't look unhealthy. You look like you're energetic. You're not starving between meals. You don't crave sweets anymore. And you didn't even have to exercise yet. So who wouldn't want to do that?
That's the perfect life.
Yeah, right. I know.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview, and maybe we'll do a follow-up in the future, and just when you take it to the next level, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. It was so nice to see you live, Dr. Berg.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.
Yeah, you too.
Okay, see ya.